everyone, welcome back to Homestead Corner. Today I want to talk about our 2023 prepping plans. Every year in January, it is one of the slowest times of the year. It gives us lots of time for us to sit down and plan out things that we want to get done. I think it's really important to come up with a plan. That way you've got something to focus on. It gives you goals and things like that for your homestead, your prepping, anything like that, really. We pretty much integrate all of that stuff together because it all works together and helps us become more sustainable, and we have to rely on outside sources less. Today we just go through that kind of step by step, the things that we are working towards, things that we plan on doing. A lot of this stuff is stuff we've done before. We're either expanding on it or just preparing for when the time comes and it's time to get these things done. So the first thing on my list that is seasonal things like that. Like we have maple syrup season coming up. We're going to be tapping trees. We've done this before, but it's important for us to make sure we go through all of our supplies, make sure we have plenty of taps, buckets, hoses, all that sorts of stuff. Our pans are in good order and we're prepared to boil down the sap. So making sure we have all that in place. We have done this before, so it should all be there, but we may have, broken something or something like that and forgotten. So it's good to go over those things and just make sure they're there. And another thing that comes up early in the spring for us is raising new babies and new layers. I don't raise new layers every year. I usually do it every 2 or 3 years. Because we don't use light or anything like that. Our hens lay a little bit longer. They don't lay a lot in the winter, but they do lay longer in their life because we're not pushing them to lay eggs and things like that. So I have to, go over and make sure the incubator is working, candlers, we've got all the equipment, everything like that, space for the babies. If I need a new coop or a new area, whatever it is, check on brooders, things like that. If you are thinking about getting new chickens, then those are things you definitely want to think about. Make sure you have food in stock and the little nutrient packets. There's a lot to it. Chickens are one of the easiest animals, definitely. But now is the time to start thinking about that and preparing for it because you've got some time before you're going to start seeing your little baby chicks in the stores or before they get delivered and it's still really cold weather. So or if you are thinking about rabbits or quail or whatever it is, getting into goats, anything like that, now is a great time to really prepare for that and plan it out how you're going to accomplish these goals. Especially if you're going to get goats, fencing is a big deal and it is so expensive. So definitely looking into that, making sure that you're prepared when it's time to bring goats home or whatever critter you decide. The next thing that we start planning on now is gardening. Are we going to expand our garden? Are we going to do more containers, more raised beds, more in the ground? Things like that. Going over what we have for seeds. Do we have enough seeds for the entire year? Do we need to pick up certain seeds? Things like, those type of things. We want to make sure we're prepared. We've got all the tools. We've been gardening for years and years, but stuff breaks, stuff happens, and your garden changes all the time. It's one of those things where you're constantly updating it, and we plan our rotation. That way we don't plant carrots in the same spot every year. We like to move them around. That way it doesn't strip the soil of nutrients. Because if you plant the same thing in the same spot year after year, it strips those nutrients out of the soil that that plant really takes on. So we try to move them around so they're not all in the same place every year. Another thing we go over is generators, gas generator, solar generators, anything like that, solar panels. just things to look at. Do we want to expand that? Do we want to change the way we're doing it? Those are all different things that we look at every year. What type of things are we going to use for backup energy? And, you know, how are we going to achieve that and get these things in order? And if it's something like a really large solar generator or a really big lot of panels, figuring out how you're going to pay for that, you know, plan it out so you can save for it, because the best thing to do is save that money for it and not put it on a credit card or take out a loan or anything like that. Because, you know, don't pay interest on it if you don't have to. Everything is way too expensive now anyway. You don't want to go more into debt. You want to figure out how to do it without getting in more in debt. The next thing is we always go over our water filters. Make sure that everything is in good working order. If we need to add more filters, more replacement things like that, making sure we have that backup for our water. Water is something we're always keeping our eye on to make sure we have plenty stored fresh water in the house, but we also want to make sure that your filters, anything that you're using or going to plan on using for a backup, you want to make sure it's in good working order. It hasn't sat too long, you know, it hasn't been exposed to rodents or whatever. You just want to make sure everything is okay with it and it's ready to go when you need it. The next thing is organize our preps. I already started this. I decided that I wanted to switch things around in one of our pantries, and oh my goodness, what a nightmare. It takes forever. You know, you want to make sure it's organized so you can find it. That is the best way. And I am trying to reorganize things to simplify so all of one type of thing is together. So if I'm looking for something, I can find it quick and easy. And also, if I'm not available to look for it, one of my family members can easily find it. They know right where it is, and they can go right there and grab what they need for any type of food or emergency supplies, anything like that. We're trying to make sure we have all that stuff in order. And because over the year, and you all know this, when you start digging into things and using things, stuff gets pushed around, pushed back, moved over, it's in the wrong place, everything, it looks like a bomb went off within a couple of months. So we try to keep organization up, but once a year, I really look at that organization and is this working for us the way it's set up, or should I change it around to create more space or make it more functional, or whatever is going to work for our family. Another thing we look at is, we're going to plan on looking at is our home security. You know, what kind of home security do you have in place? What would you like to have in place? Video cameras, fencing, a dog, anything like that that you're looking to add to your home security or beef up home security, things like that, so you know what you have. Your personal protection as well, if you carry or if you have a home protection gun, anything like that. If you're practicing, and everyone should be, you should be cleaning on a regular basis. But it's always good to give a second look over and make sure that everything is in order. You have enough ammo, you have, you know, all the right wires for your security cameras, whatever it is that you are using for home protection and personal protection, you want to make sure you've got that all in order. And one of the last things we look at is new skills. What new skills can we add this year? You know, it may be not until June or October before we start working on these, but having a goal is definitely important, having it on the list. Those, you know, I'd like to improve my knot tying skills. I like to tie paracord, but, you know, I'm not necessarily the best at hitching up rope to, you know, something and dragging stuff and things like that. So making sure that you've got those skills and adding new skills each year. One year I learned how to spin fiber. Another year I learned how to can. Every year I give myself at least one decent survival skill that I can use to help us in the long run, whether it's building, you know, shelters in the woods. We have done that before. every year we try to add to these skills. And we try to keep up on these skills and practice them once in a while as well, in case we ever really do have to get out there and do these things. When the time comes, we'll be ready to do it. It'll be easy. Trying to learn something in an emergency is definitely much more difficult when you're all worked up and being pressed about it than leisurely trying to do it and learn it so you're already feeling comfortable with it and you've got that skill under your belt, and that is always a wonderful thing. So these are just some food for thought for everybody. I thought it's a good time where things have slowed down from the holidays. It's cold weather. We have a lot of days that we're not getting out. We can sit and sip our coffee and enjoy, you know, being warm and toasty inside, and just write out a quick plan. And you can be as elaborate as you want to be. I really just use a quick piece of paper or two, depending on what I'm looking for, and just put little bullet things on there that is going to trigger my memory and make me remember, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. I'm not into big explanations, but some people are. So whatever works for you, definitely do that. And I hope that all of you are getting a prepping plan together to, you know, get all of your stuff in order for the year, figure out what you want to expand, where you want to cut back, if you want to, you know, whatever it is, new skills, those are always wonderful. But that is it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.